I went from looking like this to looking like this. Now, this journey took me around 7 months in total. I'm going to go over a couple things in this video. Going to go over kind of the basics, what you need to know when starting any cycle. This is peptides or something HRT related. I'm going to go over the food. I'm going to go over the training. I'm going to go over every sort of thing you need to know. And I'm going to try to keep it under 10 minutes. So let's get into this. First things first, okay? You want to make sure you are doing adequate research on the compound you are choosing. Depending on your goals, I was 191 pounds at 5'9", putting me at around like 40 or 50 pounds overweight. I'm starting to get stretch marks on my love handles, on the front of my stomach, on the back of my love handles. And I realized obviously it was time to make a change. My goals were weight loss. My goals were to keep the muscle that I had under the fat, but also come out of it, not just skinny fat. So I picked a compound called Retta. If people want, I'll have other videos going into what that compound is. It is a GLP-1. It is a triple antagonist. Basically, it is a weight loss drug. It is a weight loss peptide, I should say. So I started on this in December, basically December 1st. I ran this for around 5 months straight. And so I did a lot of research, and the thing with peptides is it's all about the source, right? There are a lot of pharmacies, compounding pharmacies in America that do sell peptides online. I'm not going to mention any brands. A lot of these brands are overpriced. To be frank, to be blunt. That was kind of like a mix of the two words. They're overpriced, and they are overpriced because they can be overpriced. I found a source in China, and I buy them by the tens. I'm not going to obviously go into that, go into sources or anything like that. YouTube doesn't like that stuff. So basically, I say all this to say, do research, take the time. Like, don't just rush into it. Find, a creator online who's like promoting a peptide and be like, okay, this is the good source. Do research, make sure they have testing. This is something you're putting in your body. And whether it's, hormone related, peptide related, anything, make sure you're doing research, make sure it is tested, make sure you're not like holding a syringe, not knowing the dosage or knowing where to put it, but just being willing to put it in your body, because that's going to end up bad. I'm going to go over to the next section, which is going to be blood work. Now, I did not get my blood work until around 3 months ago. I wanted to see, because after that, I knew I was going to start a cycle. So I wanted to see where my baseline levels are. And this is something that I recommend to everyone. Do not start a HRT cycle, TRT cycle, any sort of these hormone-related cycles without getting your blood work. You will 1000% regret it. Say something goes wrong down the line, you have no clue where you were before you started the cycle, okay? So if you start, this is the timeline, right? You start over here. So your levels are 500 before the cycle. Now you're right here where the mic is, and this is the finish line. Something goes wrong right here, and your test levels are at 300 now, but you've been on cycle for 4 weeks. If you didn't get your blood work done beforehand, you might think that your level, you haven't just responded to the test yet. You haven't absorbed it in your blood. Maybe you should have waited. You don't know that your levels have actually gone down. So this is something that I recommend to everyone. Get your blood work done. It's not hard to find places to get it done. You can contact your, local doctor, the doctor you go to, or you can go to, certain websites like Anabolic Insights. That's a great one I recommend. $99. You can pick any Quest location. You walk in, you show them your phone, and they take your blood. You get your results in 4 hours, so it's kind of like, why not, Next up, baby, we're going to be talking about timing and dosage. So currently right now I am on a 16 to 20 week cycle. Now I say 16 to 20, obviously giving myself some leeway room. I get my blood work done around every 5 weeks. So say something does go wrong or something does go right, I will extend or decrease the cycle, kind of playing it by ear. Now I'm on 350 per week, 350 milligrams per week. So obviously it's a little bit higher end spectrum TRT, sort of in that realm of not TRT. And my blood work's fine. My blood work's spectacular. Obviously playing it by ear is important. You don't just want to commit to some 20 week cycle and now you're 10 weeks in, your blood work is horrible, and you're like, oh, well, fuck it, I guess. Because that's where you start to get side effects. You start to get E2 issues where your gyno's flaring up, your hair is lost, you're, screaming at your girlfriend, because the milk is gone or something. Like, you don't want these things to happen. You want to be preventative. With cars, they call it preventative maintenance, doing things beforehand, not when the car breaks, but beforehand so the car doesn't break. And we're talking about our bodies here. So, of course, you want to do preventative maintenance to make sure that you're not going to break in the gym or, in the shower. Last thing I do want to cover, obviously, is dosage. So this is all dependent on the person. Okay, like you'll see so many people online. And when I was doing research for what dosage I wanted to do, you see people, 300 is the way to go. It's the best for no side effects but good gains. Then you also see on the same post, 300 is terrible. You'll see nothing. It's a waste of time. And so I want to stress to you guys, 300 is a great starting dose, just to let everybody know. But everybody responds differently. So that's why you will have some people over here that say 300 is perfect, and you'll have some people over here say 300 was horrible. Well, because everybody absorbs and metabolizes testosterone completely different. So you can have somebody over here that has levels 2000 plus on 300, and you can also have somebody over here who's barely above 1000 or maybe 1200 on 300. So it's all about how your body metabolizes it. This is something that I also say, why duration of your cycle is variable, because maybe you might find out that 300 milligrams is not enough for you after you get your blood work done. So you up it a little bit and you might up the cycle length. You might find out that 300 is too much and you're getting side effects and you need to lower it. So these are all things that you figure out. That's why your first cycle is kind of like your intro cycle. It's not something where you go in some advanced, type shit, whipping out freaking syringes like bow, bow, bow. You're going to, you start slow, go slow, and work your way up and figure out what works for you and what works for your body. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about expectations. And so you want to be realistic with your expectations, okay? You do not want to go into this with the mindset that I'm going to triple, quadruple in size, okay? Because what's going to happen is you'll get body dysmorphia. You're going to go into this, with a set dosage or an idea of where you want to be at in a range. You might not get to where you want to be in a certain time frame, and you start changing those numbers in your head. And I want to say that have patience. Give it time. Let the test fully absorb in your blood for 8 weeks, and then reassess where you want to be at. Your first cycle is not something where you quadruple in size. It's where you learn what compounds, what dosage, what blood work, what doctor, what supplements, and then you take it to the next step if you want to. And so, again, I showed pictures in the beginning. So this is what I was looking like in the beginning, or, this is what I looked like to the start. And this is what I look like now. So those two pictures are 7-month difference apart. I'm going to show now before cycle and after cycle after I cut. And I don't mean after cycle. I'm obviously still in the middle of my first cycle. So boom, this was before I started the cycle. Boom, this is currently now. And I want to preface everything by saying, like, I'm not a doctor. I'm also not a bodybuilder. I'm also not somebody who's been doing this for 10 years. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt and listen to it as anecdotal experience from one person to the next. This isn't me telling you exactly what is working for everyone. This isn't me advocating for you to do something. This isn't me saying go out of your way. This is the only way to do it. You won't get gains if you don't do this. Guys, being natty is good. You're having patience. You have goals. We're all grown adults here who can make their own decisions. So that's why I don't ever like sit there and hate on somebody online for vice versa being natty or obviously not being natty. When people do that, it just shows like they have some bitter like misery to them, because again, it shouldn't matter what another adult does. If you're not performing where you want to perform, being natural or vice versa, don't hate on somebody who is performing natty or on gear. It's dumb. And it just shows like that you're sad. Now, when it comes down to the split that I used to lose the weight and the sort of calorie deficit that I was in, I aim to be in around a 400 to 600 calorie deficit. This was every single day. Now, of course, the Retta helped with this sort of deficit. I will be honest with you guys. I did zero cardio. Zero cardio. I do cardio now. I do literally 10 times more cardio now that I've been on cycle for the last 5 weeks than I did losing 50 pounds. So would I do cardio then if I could go back? Absolutely. It would have sped up the process and I probably would have lost some of this love handle stuff a little bit quicker. But is it a necessity? If you're in a deficit every day, you're obviously strength training 6 times a week, you have a heavy split, it's not a necessity. Now, would I recommend it? Absolutely. I would recommend you doing cardio every single day. Now, if it's going, if you're 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight, are you going to overwhelm yourself by trying to do strength training, cardio 6 times a week? Probably. And so that's why I didn't do it to start. I'm fit now. I'm 160 pounds. I'm maybe 15 to 17% body fat. So cardio is a lot easier for me now. And so I do it. So yeah. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. I wanted to give an overview of kind of where I'm at in my cycle, what I did to lose 56 pounds, what I'm doing to now go from 150 where I stopped the cut to 190 on the bulk. I'm at 165 now. And yeah, follow me along the journey, guys. We do vlogs weekly, take you through a day in my life. We do some crazy stuff, Pokemon, gambling, the gym, and yeah, we just do a bunch of fun stuff. So I will see y'all in the next video. I hope you learned some information, some good, genuine information from this video. Do your research. Don't just watch this and think you know everything. Go out, do your research, talk to a doctor. I'm out of here. Love you guys. See you in the next video.